Yes. one in a red jacket just waving. She's probably going to spin around and grab his phone. We're talking any second.
Candidate Forum. I'm Holly Morton, Chairwoman of the Republican Party. And first, I'd like to introduce Skip Wells, who will lead us in our invocation.
Let's pray together. Lord God, first of all, we're so very thankful about the representative government that is over this nation. So many nations do not have that. Thank you that we can participate. And Lord, give us wisdom tonight, and may you have your way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Skip. And please join us as we pledge allegiance to the flag led by veteran Joseph Rice.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Matt Morrison here. Matt is a 31-year resident, a small business owner, and he will be our moderator for this evening. Matt, carry it on.
All right. Do a mic check there. Testing. Testing. Are we on? Everybody can hear me okay? Okay, good. All right. Personal comment for me. I just want to say thanks for everybody making the time to come here. It's really, really cool to see so many people show such an interest in their local government, city and county. And I'm really proud to be part of something like that. So thank you all for coming in. So our goal this evening is to showcase the candidates who will run for various positions within the city and the county. The rules aren't many, but they're as follows. We have quite a bit to cover, so we ask that you hold your applause until the end. The forum will end with closing comments from each of the candidates, so we appreciate it if you just wait until then. If a candidate is interrupted, I have the option to reclaim their time and to stop the forum until decorum can be restored. So I'm sure everybody here, you have a candidate that you support. We just want to make sure that somebody doesn't lose their train of thought. They may be in the middle of something really great, and if people are making comments or something, then you can interrupt that, and I don't think we want that. All the candidates, if you have phones, are they all turned off so we don't have anything ringing or buzzing up there? Yeah? Okay.
The audience too.
Oh, yeah, you know what? Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you have a phone, it would be great if you could put it on airplane mode or just turn it off or put it on silent so nobody has to hear it in the middle of an answer. Okay. Well, I guess we'll go and hopefully everybody's doing it. All right, we'll begin first with our city councilor candidates and the mayoral candidates. Candace Kaiser is going to be our timekeeper. There she is. So she'll give you an indication of when you're getting close to the end of the time, and we hope that you'll respect that because we do have quite a bit. You can see we have a lot of candidates here with the mayors and everything, and then of course the county commissioners and the treasurers, and we want to try to get through this in a reasonable time period. The mayoral and city candidates will each have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, which we'll do first. Please include your reason for running and the experience and special skills you have that would benefit the city of Grants Pass. And we'll go in the order of the numbers you've chosen. So does everybody have a number up there? Okay. So are we going to start with the mayors first?
Who's got number one?
Who has number one?
Well, that would be Clint, and then
This is going to go quick. This is going to be a lightning round here. So just one or two words.
introduce themselves.
Oh, my bad. Sorry. Introductions. Clint, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Clint Scherf, and I'm running to become the new mayor of Grants Pass. I was born and raised in this area. I'm currently raising the 4th generation of my namesake here. So raising the 4th generation of my namesake here. So my dad was actually born and raised here as well. I come to you guys with a bit of judicial experience as well. I served on the city council 2018-2019, so I have some of that experience. By trade, I own and operate a civil engineering firm, and I kind of eat, breathe, and live building code and municipal code. So I do have a well-rounded experience in codes and how a city actually works and actually how the building industry works. So I bring that experience as well. And I'm very grateful that you all came out to listen to us tonight, and hopefully that you'll get the right answers to some of these questions that are in front of us. And I look forward to giving you a little bit more about me and my ideas going forward for the city of Grants Pass. Thanks.
Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Bristol, and I am the current mayor of Grants Pass. I am also a Grants Pass native, and my kids are also 4th generation here in the Valley. I love Grants Pass. I grew up here, graduated from Grants Pass High School, moved away for a while when my kids were younger, and then we moved back here to raise our kids. And so I've spent most of my life in Grants Pass. It's a very, I have my grandparents still living, my parents, my brother. So I think that it's important to me to support the community that I live in. Every job I've ever had, whether it's paid or unpaid, like the mayor position, it has been to benefit my community and to share information with people and to serve the community and make it stronger and better. I think I can use my experience here. I did serve on the Yakima City Council for a couple of years, and then I've been mayor of Grants Pass for the past 4 years. I believe I can continue to use that experience and knowledge that I've gained about how cities work and don't work, and how to work with other people and make our community the best and strongest that it can be. I think a couple of issues that are important to me are integrity and honesty and good communication. I think the mayor position is different than the city council position, and it's important for people to understand how it is different. It's a leadership position, but I'm not running the city. We have a full-time city manager, and the mayor's not in charge. But the mayor does have an important role. Running the meetings is important, attendance is important, and just being a good communicator with people, and that's what I do every day, so I'm happy to be a part of that here in Grants Pass.
Thank you. Thank you to the organizers of this event, and thank you to all the community members that came this evening. It's really important that we have these discussions. My name is Vanessa Auger. I am the current City Council President, and I am rounding my first term in City Council. My original reason for running was very similar to what you may hear this evening. I felt as though the council at that time wasn't necessarily reflective of the community's needs and the direction that the community should be going. Specifically, I was deeply concerned about issues surrounding housing. The prior council did not prioritize housing in the way that our community needed it. Additionally, there were some financially irresponsible decisions that the city council was making, and I wanted to ensure that we could get the community back on the right track. Additionally, at that time, the city council put forward a 10-cent increase on the public safety levy. So it was really coming to light that there were issues surrounding funding our public safety. For work, I am a dispatcher for the Oregon State Police, so I am acutely aware of the needs of emergency first responders as well as the increasing costs of funding those services for the community. The experience and skills that I have for this position, I of course now have experience ending my first term on the city council. And I bring to the council strong organization and common sense decision-making skills. Even with people I don't agree with, I'm still willing to meet with them and share ideas. I think that's where some of the best ideas really are born, is with people that you don't necessarily agree with on everything. And my reason for running again is the council has built momentum on housing, and I'd like to continue that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Indra?
I'd like to continue that. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Indra?
Hi, good evening. Whoops. I'm not a pro at this. Good evening, my name is Indra Nicholas, and I'm excited to be a candidate for Grants Pass City Council. I lived in the community for over 28 years, working and raising 4 children who are all now out of the home now, which provides me the opportunity to step up and serve. As a former educator and a small business owner, I feel I bring a unique perspective to the challenges and the opportunities that our community is facing. As a small business owner, I want to increase just the opportunities for businesses to thrive so that they can provide good jobs for our residents. I want to create policy that fosters economic growth and that allows businesses to open, expand, and provide opportunities for our, just for labor in our community. I know that our businesses are struggling, and when we look out on our streets, we see a mess, and our current city council is just not addressing it. The current city council incumbents have had 4 years to clean up our city, and it's just not being done. And so I own a small business, I own a home in town. When I drive from my home to my small business, what I see on the streets is so disturbing to me. It's depressing, and it's oppressive to everyone. I hear our residents and our business owners come to the city council meetings begging for help, and they never get it. And so that's why I'm running. I know I can make a difference, and I know.
Good evening, and thank you, friends and neighbors. My name is Victoria Marshall, and I am running for the city council because I believe in Grants Pass. I know that we need a change, and I really want us to be able to get back to the safe and secure city that we once were. I moved here in 1996, and I taught for 22 years at Grants Pass High School. I spent many decades coaching speech and debate as well. And so what I bring to, skills that I bring to the city council would be that I have taught youth how to stand up, how to speak the truth, and how to make sure that they are rewarded by hard work and dedication. I didn't think I'd live in Grants Pass for too long. I thought I might be here for 5 years and then move on to a different teaching position, but I fell in love with our community. Our community is a wonderful community. When I would meet with parents, when they would come in for parent and teacher conferences, I was amazed at how much they love their children, they love the city, they wanted to provide wonderful things for the children, and they did. And there was a trust between the community and the school district. They built the beautiful Grants Pass High School, and that trust is gone. And I would like to be a part of rebuilding that trust. And I feel like, and I have also been very interested in going to city council meetings, and I watch person after person come up and speak to the city council and be met with out and out scorn sometimes. And that is why I want to make a change on the city council, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Eric.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate the setting here. My name is Eric Schloebel. I'm running for city council, obviously, and I'm running uncontested. I'm honored to have your vote. And my background, first of all, I work at Timber Products here in Grants Pass. I'm the maintenance planner. I was in the Marine Corps for 26 years and retired as a major. So what brings me here to the Rogue Valley, my wife and her family, we came here and decided to make Grants Pass our home. So I'm sure all of you have seen the various things that have happened to our community here in the last 4 years. Thank you for that phone. Basically, I had a candid speech written up for myself here, and then I said, you know what, I'm just going to wing it. So what I've seen lately is coming from the gym, coming home, just every day driving by these homeless camps. I coined the term hopeless camps because that's what they are. These people go into these camps being hopeless. There's no hope for them. They just go in there, they're able to do whatever they want, do drugs and prostitution. Who knows? They go unchecked. These poor souls, there's no end in sight for them. There's no hope. So when I come home from work, I come by these hopeless camps, and basically I get sick and tired of being sick and tired. So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you need to vote for the conservative slate up here, the four of us, and we will fix the problem.
Thank you, Eric. Brian.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice to be here tonight. Thank you to the Republican Party for hosting. I appreciate that. Keeping the public informed is very important. My name is Brian Taylor Grange. I am currently on City Council, finishing up my first term. I was born in Grants Pass way back in the 70s. I grew up here, graduated from Grants Pass High School. I went into the Air Force, graduated from University of Oregon, and then eventually I moved back here to raise my daughter, and I've been here ever since. So I work in the energy industry. I work as an energy consultant. I help businesses cut their costs and save money. And my clients are all across the country, so that gives me flexibility to raise my daughter and do other things like volunteer on city council. So I just want to touch on a little bit of what we've done the past 4 years. When I took office, we inherited this federal lawsuit from the previous council that put us in this position that we've been in the past 4 years. Since that injunction was lifted, we got the homeless out of the parks. Since we took office 4 years ago, frankly, we've kicked butt on housing. The city has been instrumental in getting about 400, actually more than 400 units built in the community, above and beyond what would have been built without us acting. So we have taken definitive action to address the housing shortage and the housing crisis. We've taken definitive action to get the homeless out of the parks. And the homeless is an ongoing problem, as we all know. We all live here. I have a park 2 blocks from my house. I've been dealing with the same issue everyone else has been dealing with. And I look forward to talking more tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Jay?
Good evening. Jay Meredith. I'm a candidate for Grants Pass City Council Ward 2. And thank you to the Republican Party for setting this up. This is great. I know there's a lot of work putting something like this together, so thank you for inviting all the candidates and putting this on. So I moved to Grants Pass 18 years ago. I'm a CPA, a licensed CPA for about 24 years. And back about 18 years ago, I moved, my wife and I moved here to Grants Pass to start our family. My business partner was originally from Southern Oregon, and he brought us here, and because he was looking for a nice place to raise his young family at the time. And so I've been here for 18 years now, and I decided on a career change. I ended up a couple years later going to work for the city of Grants Pass. So I worked in the finance department of the city of Grants Pass for 12 years, and for the 10 years between 2010 and 2020, I was the city's finance director. I learned a ton about the city during that 10 years, and the finance department gets to interact and advise on how to put the budget together and advise on a lot of different things throughout all departments of the city. And so I've got an interest in all departments of the city, but I have a particular interest in public safety, police, fire, law enforcement, advocacy. And I've spent a ton of time both on the job and off the job advocating for public safety. So I voluntarily stepped out of my role as finance director for the city of Grants Pass in 2020 because I wanted to get back into the private sector. Wanted to make sure not to lose the entrepreneurial part of my brain, because you can't exercise that as much in government as you might want to sometimes. So I've been away from the city for a little over 4 years now. I think I've got a pretty good independent view, so I look forward to answering questions, and I would be honored with your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Kathleen?
Good evening, residents of Grants Pass. Thank you for joining us tonight and coming to hear what we have to say. So I came here 14 years ago to find a job. I came from Northern California, and I was looking for something in my second profession as a drug and alcohol counselor. And I was perfectly able to find something. It was very easy to find something here compared to where I came from. So I've enjoyed a career in that for the last 13 years. And then since the COVID time, and we all started listening to internet that wasn't mainstream news, I informed myself. I informed myself about the national and federal situation. I informed myself about how this country has been going downhill, and I started paying attention. And what that did for me is it showed me that everything changes on the local level, and that when I retired in January, my first thought was to volunteer politically and to get involved and see what was actually happening in Grants Pass, and to get involved with some of the things in the last 5 years that have really been going downhill, and I have not understood what is going on with this beautiful little mountain town. So I quickly got involved with the Republican Party, and one thing led to the next, and I was asked to run. And at first I was kind of taken back, because I'm just a regular resident just like you. I had no prior experience in government, but what I know is that we all need to chip in. It's time now, or we might lose what we used to have. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you, candidates. So now we're going to go through these lightning round questions to start, build a little bit of momentum here. If you don't have You may want to respond longer to these. It's going to be a 1 or 2 word answer probably, but just remember we have a lot of other questions, so you're going to get a lot of time to give points of views and your plans for the future. So we're going to start, we started with Clint, so we're going to start with Sarah first this round. First question, are you for or against ranked choice voting?
I don't have enough information about ranked choice to have an opinion, but I did live in Washington for 10 years where we have a top 2, and I loved the top 2 system.
Vanessa?
I'm not aware if that's a city policy that's coming to the city of Grants Pass that the council would decide on, so I'll abstain. I'm here to talk about city business.
Andrew?
Completely against ranked choice voting.
Victoria?
Vote no.
Eric?
Against it.
Brian?
Undecided.
Jay?
Strongest if possible, no.
Kathleen?
I am completely opposed to ranked choice voting.
Okay. Vanessa, to you, are you in favor of open borders?
I'm really here to talk about city business. I don't understand how this pertains to a city council position. We oversee the budget for the city of Grants Pass and write laws for our community. That's what I'd like to talk about this evening. Thank you.
Yeah. Andra?
I am opposed to open borders.
Victoria?
I am opposed to open borders.
Eric?
Very much opposed to it.
Brian?
I'm opposed to open borders, and this has no relevance to city business.
Jay?
Opposed.
Kathleen?
It's the worst thing that can happen to our country.
All right. Andra, starting with you this time, do you support sanctuary cities?
I do not support sanctuary cities.
Victoria?
I do not support sanctuary cities.
Eric?
Do not support sanctuary cities.
Brian?
I can't wait to talk about city issues.
Jay?
No, I do not support.
Kathleen?
You gotta go back in.
Oh, my fault. Clint?
Oh, I was.
Oh, Kathleen, sorry. Kathleen?
Don't forget me. Let's see. What was the question again?
Sanctuary cities.
Sanctuary cities. No, sanctuary cities.
Sanctuary cities.
Sanctuary cities are actually constitutionally illegal.
Clint?
So the state of Oregon is a sanctuary state. I would actually love to take the city out and not be a sanctuary city, but don't know if that's possible. I'd like to entertain that.
These have to be quick. You guys can have a ton of time to cover this stuff, or anything else if we have questions on. Sarah?
I'll cede my time to city business.
Okay.
Sanctuary cities, I'd love to talk about our city specifically.
Okay. We started with Andrew last time. So we're Victoria. With what party do you identify?
I identify the Republican Party.
Eric?
Republican, I'm conservative.
Brian?
I've been mostly Republican, but I'm currently a non-affiliated.
Jay?
Republican, but by city charter, we are nonpartisan.
Kathleen?
Republican Party, conservative vote.
Clint?
I'm registered Republican.
Sarah?
Mayor is a nonpartisan position, and I'm a registered Republican.
Vanessa?
It is worth stating that this is a nonpartisan position, but I'm not affiliated.
Andra?
Republican.
Do you consider Measure 110 to have been a failure or a success? Eric?
Definite failure or witnessing the effects of it.
Brian?
Big ol' fail.
Jay?
The decriminalization part was a big fail.
Kathleen?
Yes, both parts of Measure 110, the first time and the second time, have been a failure.
Clint?
Measure 110 was a failure, which actually you can attest it to exacerbating the amount of homeless people that we've actually witnessed in the last
Thank you,
6 years.
Sarah.
I think it's complicated, but it has failed.
Vanessa?
State failure.
Indra?
Complete failure.
Victoria?
Has destroyed Oregon.
Okay, do you feel the city should enforce health mandates, Brian?
No.
Jay?
Nope.
Kathleen?
Never.
Clint?
No.
Sarah?
No.
Vanessa?
No.
Indra?
No.
Victoria?
No.
Eric?
Absolutely not.
Ideally, do you feel that ID and citizenship should be required to vote?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Yes, of course. I hope we can return to those days.
Clint?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Indra?
Yes, and hand counting ballots.
Victoria?
Absolutely must happen.
Eric?
Definitely.
Brian?
Absolutely, Dooley.
The final one in our lightning round. Does anybody have an idea of the percentage of homeless who are drug addicted? And we'll start with, last one was Jay, so Kathleen?
I would say it's over half, and yeah, it's a big problem.
Clint?
I'm already on Clint.
My guess would be 65 to 70%.
Sarah?
I'm not going to speculate.
Vanessa?
I don't know a number.
Indra?
75%.
Victoria?
Studies show 75%.
Eric?
Very high, it's over 75%.
Brian?
The question was, do I have an idea? Of
Yeah,
the
do you have an
percentage?
idea?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do you want to give that percentage of which you feel is drug addicted? All right, Jay?
Best guess based on what I've seen and heard is 75 or 80%.
Okay, all right, thank you, everybody. So, may I have the questions in front of them?
Yes.
Okay. So, for our audience, all of the candidates up here were handed a list of 6 questions, and they're able to pick any question that they like out of those 6 and go ahead and answer that. So, you may have some overlapping, they may decide to pick something completely different. So our last one, we started with Kathleen, so I think we're back to Clint. So go ahead and read the question you decided to answer, and then the time will not start until you've read the question.
1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute. Did
Very
we,
good.
did we decide to just keep one here?
Yeah, just do 1.
Yep, so just 1 minute. So Clint, anytime you're ready.
Okay. Question in front of me is, what is the responsibility of Grants Pass to provide services to the homeless? I believe it is not the city, local, federal government to supply, own, operate a shelter for the homeless. It should be community driven. It should be community sponsored. There is aspects that federal tax and state tax dollars, any government money is actually tax dollars, could be used to finance it. But it should be community driven. So if the community wants it, the nonprofits, the churches, the community organizations will step up and do it. That's why you have cities throughout the United States that don't have homeless, because their community doesn't want it. It also should be directed by the amount of economic resources that community has. You can only take, and the size of the community actually determines how much federal and state money you can actually get. So it's still driven by the size and the want of the community.
Sarah?
I'll answer the same question, which is, what is the responsibility of Grants Pass to provide services to the homeless? And we do not have a responsibility to provide services to the homeless. What we do have is a state requirement that if we're going to make a rule about where people can't sleep, we have to allow them to sleep somewhere here in our city limits, and that's why the city of Grants Pass has established 2 campsites right now, is that in order to move people out of our parks, we had to establish another place. We didn't have to make those 2 places. We could have let people find places, but personally I was completely opposed to the idea of having 150 homeless people scatter around in your business doorways, alleys, and bushes. And so I felt that centralizing the people in city-owned property was the best thing to do. And the city of Grants Pass does not provide services to them. We do have toilets and garbage at those sites for public health reasons, but we are otherwise not providing anything in terms of food, shelter, or other services.
Thank you. Vanessa?
I'll answer question 2. Are you in favor of Grants Pass having a low barrier shelter? If how, would you envision that? The first part of the question, I am in support, and this is directly advocating on behalf of the emails, the surveys, the public comment, the community stakeholder meetings that I've been a part of for years, where people are asking the community to find somewhere for the people that want help to go. If so, how would you envision that? I envision that being a community-wide effort. I imagine faith-based organizations stepping forward, nonprofits stepping forward, the city, the county, and the state all working together to make that successful. I do not see the city of Grants Pass running that or owning it. I see having a stake in the matter. And I think that that's especially important because it will immediately separate those that want help and those that do not want help. And it makes it easier for our police to figure that out immediately.
Thank you, Vanessa. Indra?
I also chose number 2. Are you in favor of Grants Pass having a low barrier shelter? I am absolutely not in favor. We are seeing the results of low barrier shelters now in our community, and it's a disgrace. First of all, they are not staying in those campgrounds. It's inhumane to even put them there, I believe. And they're not staying there. Just this morning, I had to face some at my place of business who were loitering, doing drugs, leaving trash. So they are scattered still throughout all of our city. And the businesses around the campgrounds have to live with the loitering, the drug dealing, the theft of tens of thousands of dollars of property. I don't know why we are putting up with this. There are things we can do. If you don't understand that a low barrier shelter means there are no restrictions, they can go in there and basically do whatever they want. I am in favor of treatment first. Treatment can be concurrent with shelter transitional, but they need treatment.
Thank you, Indra. Victoria?
I chose question number 6. Ultimately, what services should the city of Grants Pass be providing or not providing? A city is supposed to provide police and fire, zoning and planning and emergency services, and there are a few other services that the city should provide. We should not be providing the homeless encampments that we are providing now. They're dangerous, they're inhumane. There are teenagers going in and out of those on 6th Street and J Street. There's prostitution happening. And our city is in danger of being under another lawsuit very soon. And if you would like to see our city return to the services that a city council and a mayor should be providing to a city, please vote for the conservative candidates who are on this dais, who are endorsed by the Republican Party, and we will listen to the public.
Thank you,
the
Victoria.
current council has not been listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Eric?
I'm going to pick question number 4. How can we ensure that all citizens have access to police services? So I'm going to start by saying I went on a ride along, and it was just the other night, and I asked the question, what is taking up the majority of your time? What is it? And I was told, well, it's obviously the drug epidemic here that we have in Grants Pass. It causes theft, it causes all these various things. It's consuming a lot of what the police are dealing with today. If we could only try to reduce that by 30%, it would be an improvement. That being said, these drug addicts are going out of their homeless shelters and they're going into the parks late at night just to do their drugs. So a quick way to get police services would be to reduce all these issues we're having with the drugs.
Thank you, Eric. Brian?
I'm going to answer question 2. Are you in favor of GP having a low barrier shelter, and if so, how would you envision that? I am in favor of that, and I'm in favor of that because the alternative to that is there not being a place for them to go and them being all over town, them being all over downtown, them being in front of businesses, them walking the neighborhoods, them being back in the parks. And we heard for 3.5 years that people want the homeless out of the parks. And guess what? We did that. So we have to have a place for them to go. It's mandated by the state, and we don't have a choice. If we don't do that, my opponent, Indra, she doesn't think we should have one, but I would really love to hear what her alternative is, because without an alternative, it's going to be chaos. So if we don't have a low barrier shelter, I would love to hear what the alternative is, and it has to be more than just drug treatment. That's not going to solve the problem overnight.
Thank you, Brian. Jay?
There's a lot of really great questions in front of us. Rather than answer the hot topic of homeless, please go to my website, votejcpa.com, to see what and my Facebook page link to see what I have to say about that. I'm going to instead go with number 5, the fun one, which is the caveman pool a good or bad idea for Grants Pass? Please include a cost analysis. I wrote an article for the Grants Pass Tribune on this topic a couple of months ago when the city unveiled a cost proposal for the caveman pool, which was $12 to $13 million to replace and rebuild the caveman pool. I had sticker shock, as many in the public did, so I wrote an article about that did include a cost analysis. You can find that online. I think this demonstrates that listening to the public is important to me, because this article ended up being circulated hundreds of times on Facebook, and hundreds and hundreds of comments on Facebook from the public. What I learned from the public through that process is that the vast majority of citizens in Grants Pass, at least those that express their opinion on Facebook, they want to keep and rebuild the caveman pool. So in the end, the city council was able to significantly reduce the cost of rebuilding caveman pool almost by 50% or more, and looks like we're going to have a good outcome there.
Thank you, Jay. Kathleen?
Well, I would like to go with question, do you believe that faith-based organizations play a role in providing services to the homeless? Well, first I want to respond to what has been said already about what is the responsibility of Grants Pass to provide services. And if it's not Grants Pass responsibility to provide services, why has the general fund been already designated $325,000 a year to the homeless problem? What has worked in the past is that churches have stepped up and faith-based organizations do feed people, and they do provide resources that other organizations in the past have not been able to do that. I will say that the Gospel Rescue Mission, which is faith-based, and Hearts with a Mission, which is faith-based, they are all self-supporting. They have used no taxpayer money to provide for their services, and they are sustained by the community.
Thank you, Kathleen. These next set of questions, each candidate up there will have a chance to answer each one of these questions. And I believe we're starting with you this time, Sarah. What is the best source of revenue to cover the city's expenses? And you'll have 1 minute.
Well, our current system is property taxes, as well as a number of other solutions, and I think that that's working for us for the most part, and that's the best source. Is to try to keep our costs within the budget that we already have. We do have a situation that we've worked hard to deal with over the past few years with mounting costs of police, public safety, because Our assessed value on our homes here in Oregon can only increase 3% a year, which means your property taxes go up 3% a year. Anytime that our expenses go up more than 3% a year, we will run into a budget gap situation. And here, just as an example, we know that our police officers are paid anywhere from 10 to 15% lower than other comparable communities. It makes it hard to recruit or retain police officers. So if we want to try to catch them up, so to speak, so that we can hire good officers and keep them in our community, we need to provide raises.
Thank you, Sarah.
I have a feeling a lot of this is going to be echoing what the other had said. I think what we have right now, although our community unfortunately is outpacing these revenues, it's currently providing a really stable source of income. All of the property taxes go to cover emergency services in our community. And a point of an issue that we have now is that the expenses are outpacing the revenues. As the mayor had said, we only are able to increase those property tax revenues 3%. So we know that when inflation was 8%, the city was in the black. When inflation was 5%, the city again was in the black. So that's where the general fund subsidization comes into play. In terms of getting those the revenue and the expenditures more aligned, the city of Grants Pass needs close to $5 million. There's not many revenue sources that can bring that in without severely penalizing the community.
Thank you, Vanessa. Andra?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What do you feel is the best source of revenue to cover the city's expenses?
So the city only has a limited avenues for revenue, taxes and fees mostly. And so our residents do not want increases in taxes, and fees continue to go up and up. The only way to solve that is to increase the tax base. The main way of increasing the tax base is to grow business and let our businesses thrive in our community. That's the way to bring revenue into our community. I just want to touch on what Brian talked about, the low barrier shelter. The only option or the only way to go. The only way people are going in those shelters is to the grave. They are killing our people. The addicted and the mentally ill are not capable of making healthy decisions to help themselves. And so we must make sure that they get treatment and don't go into these places.
Thank you, Andra. Victoria?
Will you once again repeat the question, please?
Yes. What do you feel is the best source of revenue to cover the city's expenses?
Well, currently taxes and property taxes mainly and fees are how our city gets the money for police and fire. And this isn't going to change probably in the near future, so that is the funding source that our city is going to have. Our current city council has mismanaged those funds. You heard someone say earlier that $325,000 was taken out of our general fund to put into these homeless encampments where people are targets for drug dealers, where women are at risk. It's not a low barrier shelter, it's a no barrier shelter, and it's a nightmare and it's dangerous. And there are services that are being provided. Toilets and water are services. So we need to get out of the homelessness business, and we need to use our tax dollars here for fire and police. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Eric?
I would have to agree with all the conservative folks up here so far that have spoken. Yes, so we have to bring businesses back to the area. Many of them are leaving because they are sick and tired of all this hopelessness that's been brought up on our wonderful city. It's a travesty. That being said, once we get the businesses back, we'll be able to get some better revenue than we have right now because it's all being wasted on these hopeless camps. The police officers are tapped. They're being they're shorthanded, okay? and so they need the revenue. That being said, this all has to end, and if you vote for the conservative slate, we're gonna make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Brian?
Yeah, thank you. Best source of revenue for the city is the sources of revenue we already have. So we have property tax, we have the levy, and we have some other various sources. So that's a pretty straightforward question. With regards to the low barrier shelter and all the scary things happening there and how we shouldn't have it, I'm still not hearing any alternatives other than just fear mongering. Regarding increasing the tax base, I think it's a great idea to bring businesses back to the community. I would love to hear from the conservative candidates exactly how they plan on doing that, because without a plan, it's just lip service and they're just saying what people want to hear. One way that we have increased the tax base is we've incentivized 400 new housing units in the community, and those housing units pay taxes. Not all of them, some of them are affordable, but some of them are market rate, and that is another way that we have increased the tax base in the community. Regarding homeless services, if we don't have trash and bathrooms at these sites, it's going to cost us more later, so it just makes sense.
Thank you, Brian. Jay?
You can't just call out one revenue source necessarily, because the city operates various utility services and then there are governmental programs. So on the utility side, the city operates very much like private utilities, where it charges utility fees to cover the costs of things like water and wastewater service. For the general fund, which is, I think, the primary question at hand here, cities and counties in Oregon are primarily supported by property taxes. And the citizens of Grants Pass have voted over and over again that our current funding mix is what they want. We've looked at a lot of different ways to fund police and fire, which is the vast majority of the services provided out of the city's general fund. Citizens have voted over and over again that temporary levies that get put before voters every few years, that's the way to go. There's been a strong no on just about everything that's been proposed in front of the public, but there's been a strong yes every time we go out for a vote for a public safety levy renewal, and so therefore I'm in favor of keeping what we have.
All right, thank you, Jay. Kathleen?
Yeah, I'm in favor of small government, and I think small government keeps the budget manageable. I see that there is only 4 reasons where we should be spending, and that's fire, police, waste management, and transportation. Now, yes, we've heard a lot of ideas about how to create the tax base, and it is mostly from business, but it's also how are we spending that once it's there. So to avoid the mistakes that have been made in the past, we do not want to bring in a bunch of HUD housing where no money can be made on, no taxes are paid on. We don't want to bring in outside builders to accommodate this type of building, because it doesn't add to our taxes that are being tossed around as far as future income.
Thank you, Kathleen. Moving on to the next question. Vanessa, you'll be first. What ideas do you... Didn't I get Clint already? Oh, I'm sorry, Clint.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, Clint.
No, I'm giving you a stink eye. Don't
You should. You're so far at the end there, and I can't really see you that well. That's my fault.
I know, that's okay. I appreciate the audience, though. So currently, the city has its funding resources. The majority of it does come from property taxes. One thing I would love to explore is the unrealized property tax. We have currently a list of 80, just shy of 80 nonprofits operating in the city limits. We have multiple medical facilities operating within the city limits. All of them operating as a 501c do not have to pay property taxes or any taxes if they don't want. So that's unrealized property tax that could be used to fund the city. There can be, I would love to explore some ideas on how to actually capture some of that unrealized property taxes.
Thank you, Clint. Now to the next question. What ideas do you have to encourage business growth in Grants Pass? Vanessa?
We've heard from local organizations that businesses struggle to move here or to expand here due to the lack of housing, that there's simply not places for their employees to live. And so I think that the housing crisis directly goes hand in hand with economic development. And I think that there's two really exciting opportunities that the city has in that arena, in the housing arena. One is our Urban Renewal Agency. We have a pretty significant monetary fund dedicated solely for housing, and I'd like to see the council realize that with a recent purchase we made up on Washington Boulevard. Additionally, we have the Housing Advisory Committee, which is a super dedicated group of subject matter experts that meet monthly, and one of their ideas is to bring forward a multi-unit tax deferral program. And this essentially says that if someone wants to revitalize a vacant piece of property or an underbuilt piece of property, that they can receive a tax deferral for that property if they build on it multi-unit family housing, market rate housing. And that would, it would benefit the property if it's especially vacant, because right now it's not paying any taxes. So we want to bring it onto the tax rolls in that way.
Thank you, Vanessa. Indra?
Yes, the number one thing right now to help grow our businesses, and it's the theme throughout this evening, is we need to get the vagrants off the street. Nobody wants to come here or open a business when you drive down the street and see what we see. So that's number one. We need to incentivize them, businesses, to come in with incentives and support with resources. And then we also need to get rid of the bureaucratic red tape, simplify the licensing and permitting processes that keep so many businesses from opening and expanding. The costs are insane to start a business. It's 10 times as much as you think it should cost, and it takes 10 times as long. And so we need to make it much more easy to open and operate a business and to expand. Thank you.
Thank you, Indra. Victoria?
Our business owners are in trouble in Grants Pass because of the homelessness and drug addiction problem here. We need to be listening to our current business owners who are telling our council and our mayor, you need to take care of the homelessness and drug addiction problem. And the answers that we have been receiving are, well, we'll give tax breaks for the kind of housing that we want you to build. I think that's a bad idea, because I don't believe that government should put their thumb on the scales that way. What we need to do is reward businesses who are struggling, who are calling the police daily because there are people who are breaking into their businesses, and they are not even able to get police to respond to them a lot of the time now. So how we get our businesses to grow is complex, and we're up to that task, but the first thing that we need to do is to take care of the drug addicted and the mentally ill who are roaming our streets.
Thank you,
and
Victoria.
get better solutions. Thank you.
Eric?
I agree. I don't have much to say on this aside from that, just look at what's happening with the businesses here. They don't want to be here anymore. They get broken into, they get all of their property, most of their property stolen. They have property stolen from them on a daily basis. Why? Because of these hopeless camps. I don't know what the answer is as far as reducing the theft, aside from we have to get rid of the drugs. We have to get rid of all of these drug dealers that are coming and going. They're selling the drugs and nothing can be done about it. Well, we're gonna set up some ordinances if we get elected, post the signs, make sure that we make drugs illegal in public. So that's the big ticket item. That'll bring back the businesses because they're sick and tired of it.
Thank you, Eric. Brian?
Yeah, thank you. Just so everybody knows, drugs are already illegal in public, so in case you weren't aware. For encouraging business growth, I've heard from the conservative candidates, get the vagrants off the street. incentivize businesses, reward businesses, make it easier to start businesses. That's all great, but we need some details. You know, get vendors off the street. We all want them off the street, but if you don't have a plan, it doesn't mean anything. They're just empty words. So encouraging business growth, things that have been proven to work and we are already doing is we're increasing housing stock because businesses can't open here if they don't have housing for their employees. So that's something we've been working on. We are looking at a tax deferral program. If a big company wants to come in, we have a mechanism to do tax deferrals to incentivize them to come to this community, and that's something that the current council is absolutely open to. And quality of life is another big thing. If someone wants to bring a business here, the community needs to be a nice place where they want to live, so we need to have a good quality of life with our parks and other amenities in the city.
Thank you, Brian. Jay.
Every service the city provides is in partnership with the business community in some form or fashion, especially public safety and our water, wastewater, infrastructure, utilities, etc. The biggest tool the city currently has in its tool belt, so to speak, for economic development is the city's Urban Renewal Agency. That agency is going to be spending close to $100 million on different projects over the next 20, 25 years. And the urban renewal area where those projects will be done is primarily in the commercial corridors of the city, up and down 6th and 7th Street, out by the fairgrounds, and most of the, not all major corridors, but most of the major commercial corridors. There's going to be some really exciting projects done, and I look forward to participating in strategic planning for what gets done, when it gets done. It's a partnership with the private sector. But things like major projects out at the fairgrounds are going to be very exciting.
Thank you, Jay. Kathleen.
Yeah, I would say that we need to encourage the free market. We need to encourage that businesses can thrive. We've heard a lot tonight about how businesses are not thriving, and we have those businesses sitting right here in the room with us that are organizing a coalition of businesses to present again and again and again the things that are not working for them because the city council has not been listening. So I just want to remind people, yes, it would be great if there were some people that were happy here. I interviewed people on businesses on G Street. I interviewed people on E Street where the bus station is. Businesses are keeping their doors locked because they're not sure who's going to walk in at any given time. There was one business who refused to buy their building and even got a rent reduction because of the homeless problem. There are many problems with the businesses due to the homeless problem, and we need to be listening.
Thank you, Kathleen. Clint?
Yeah, so there, as a city, you have lots of tools to incentivize business to come. I don't necessarily believe that the lack of housing here is the biggest issue. I believe that you have a city that's not actually reaching out to companies, not actually promoting itself to bring other companies here. There are tax incentives that you can use to entice companies, but if you're not actually soliciting these companies and going out and reaching for them, then they don't even know you exist. First question is, why don't we have an Amazon center here? We got a Spalding Industrial Park with a railroad and I-5 right here. Why did we lose that to Central Point? Because they never even heard of us. So I think the city needs to do more to reach out and promote its own economic development.
Thank you, Clint. Sarah?
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about this. First of all, I do serve on the SOREDI board as the Southern Oregon Regional Economic Development. They encourage economic development for both Jackson and Josephine counties. I've served on that board as mayor for the past 3 years. They specialize in traded sector businesses that bring new money into our valley. And so a lot of this talk has to do with small retail businesses, and I definitely don't want to denigrate their importance because they are absolutely key. I love downtown Grants. I think anybody who went to Art Along the Road last weekend or goes to our growers market, you can see we have thriving small businesses here. We have one of the best downtowns in Oregon. I have been a key part of helping make sure that we have a dedicated staff here at the city dedicated to economic development. We helped establish the tourism agency several years ago. During my tenure, kind of switching, I was on the tourism advisory committee before serving as mayor. The DMO is now helping establish a downtown merchant organization to help our downtown businesses thrive. So there's a lot going on that I just don't want us to get obsessed about the homeless issue. We definitely have an issue, we are dealing with it, but there's so much good stuff going on in this town.
Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate it. Thank you. Our city council candidates are finished, but we have 3 questions that are just for the mayoral candidates. So everybody, if you wouldn't mind just staying there, it won't take but a few minutes. So the first question is, how will you lead as mayor when your only vote is to break a tie? We'll go to Clint first.
Yeah, so as the mayor, Sarah will attest to this because she's the current mayor, basically you do not have very much judicial power. We don't make laws, regulations, such as the county planning as well as a rural mayor, I envision his life to be gets the cat better and see setting. So it's more of a leadership role. It's not as much of a judicial role, but you do have the power of the veto and to break the tie vote. But realistically, it is the leader of the ship.
Thank you, Clint. Sarah?
Yes, Clint said a lot of it does have to do with just the power of persuasion because you don't get a vote on a daily basis. Although you do here in Grants Pass, we do have some limited veto power. And so you can overturn a council vote, but I can't make things happen at the dais. However, a concrete example of something that I did do, I felt strongly that Grants Pass, and so you can overturn a council vote, but I can't make things happen here at the dais. However, a concrete example of something that I did do, I felt strongly that Grants Pass must give us established about $6 million generations that we have available for 7.5 years here. The cost was really outrageous, at 12 to $13 million. Hey, we want to make this happen. The council has said happen with the money that we have available rather than, keep the costs down. And we came up with a plan that got it back in line with the budget. And the council approved it, and so we're looking forward to breaking ground on the pool next year, and that's an example of the mayor's leadership.
Sarah, we're going to stay with you. What would you do immediately to put the city of Grants Pass on the best possible course?
Well, I think right now, obviously the homelessness issue is right at the forefront of things, and these camps that we've established are temporary. We do need to come up with a better long-term plan. I think we were hugely successful in removing people from the parks as soon as we were able to after the Supreme Court ruled in our favor this year. I was very proud of being able to do that. It's not the best long-term solution what we have going right now, and we've known that, and we need to continue to work on this issue. But we can't just talk about ideologies and what we would do. We know that the church community in this town has not solved this problem for us in the last 100 years. It needs to be addressed, and if nobody else is willing to do it, I think that the city needs to take the helm and take responsibility for providing people with a place to be that keeps them out of the places that you don't want them to be. That's essential. We need to manage this homeless problem.
Thank you, Sarah. Clint?
So the most immediate thing that I would do is put basically a drug-free zone on all the public parks. Yes, there's ordinances on the books that says you can't do drugs in there, but if there's no signage, then it's really hard for the police to actually enforce that. So it gives the police a little bit more teeth to enforce that. I would take and establish an exclusion zone against along the business corridor and downtown area that could have a lot of teeth to get out vagrants, trespassing, people that are loitering, and so forth, to keep the businesses safe and make them feel like they're in a more safe place. And then basically I would definitely third thing would be to make sure that we get all the nonprofits and churches in the same room. We coordinate and organize them to actually take over this homeless problem. The city should not own or operate. It should not be operated or maintained on a city-owned piece of property.
Thank you, Clint. We're going to stay with you for our last question. What role do you feel citizens should play in making critical decisions for the city?
The citizens have a prime role. We are volunteers. voted in by you guys, yes, but volunteers, unpaid volunteers. And we are here to be stewards of your taxpayer dollars and to make the community safe and provide economic opportunity for you guys to strive and survive and flourish. So yes, if the local government, council, and mayor are not listening to the community, then they're not doing their job.
Thank you. Sarah?
Citizen role, it's all about citizen participation. I'm a citizen, as are all these people up here with me. I'm just a mom with a full-time job who wanted to do something to help my community, and this is it. We have a lot of different ways that people can get involved in their city government, including budget committee. I've heard a number of people speak tonight who might be prime candidates to learn more about how the city budget works. We do take feedback in a lot of different ways all the time. Citizen communication is really important. But at the same time, we do have to make decisions, and you can't make everyone happy all of the time. And so I think it's really important that the mayor and the council take in mind, take in all that input, but then at the end of the day, you have to make this decision that you feel is best for the community as a whole. And you just have to accept that not everybody's going to like that.
Thank you, Sarah. So we're getting to our closing statements for everybody. Vanessa, you're up. 1 minute.
I am seeking re-election for Ward 4 because I love this community, and not only in my paid employment, but in my free time, I enjoy continuing to serve my community, and I think that this provides me that really wonderful opportunity to give back. I think this evening has been a really great opportunity to hear who has solutions, who has a grasp on the issues, and who can continue the momentum in terms of incentivizing housing and building on the solutions towards public safety funding. It's important that the candidate you vote for has a vision for the future with outlined goals and objectives, not just fantasy. And I think it's also important to vote for someone who has the experience and the organizational skills that this community deserves to receive from a leadership position. Thank you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Indra?
Yes, I decided to run for city council because I am very disappointed in the job that our current city council members are doing. I feel like they're not performing for the residents of Grants Pass. When they talk about making tough decisions, yes, you do have to make tough decisions, but they talk a lot, but they don't act on the decisions. And so I have not seen a lot of decisions or actions coming from the city council that actually benefit the residents of our city. And so when we look around, they have been in office for 4 years, and are things better? No, things have continually gotten worse. So the biggest issues are not being addressed. And there are many solutions that have been brought to their attention. We elected them as leaders to think of solutions themselves as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Indra. Victoria?
Our slate of candidates has given you many solutions this evening, and you can go back and you can watch the video and you can see that that is so. We are not giving you fantasy, we are giving you the facts that this city council and this mayor has not solved the problems that are hurting the citizens and the businesses of Grants Pass. We will do a better job. We will listen to you. One example would be that over and over, this current city council is bound and determined to build a low barrier shelter. And you, the people, have continually come when you hear wind of it and told them no. They are not listening to you. We will. And I thank you for your time and vote for Victoria Marshall, City Council Ward 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Eric?
I've heard many things here tonight as far as how we're the ones that we don't have any solutions. Well, I would say we have the solution of doing exactly the opposite of what this current city council has done, and that is to bring these homeless camps here, which are totally unnecessary. Other cities throughout this nation, what are they doing? I can't believe that every single city in the nation has a homeless camp in it. This is completely ridiculous, unnecessary, and as far as solutions go, I think we've talked about them. We're talking law enforcement, we're talking drugs, get rid of them. Put these drug addicts into mandatory treatment, and that'll solve many of the problems that we have.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Eric. Brian?
Yeah, thanks everybody for being here tonight. We've gotten results over the past 4 years, and those results are evident, and you can go back and watch the video, or you can ask me personally, and I'm happy to tell you about them. I can't tell you about them all right now. But if the new candidates want to come and do the opposite of what we're doing, what they're going to do is they're not going to be promoting new housing. They're going to not be taking action to get the homeless out of the parks. So saying you're just going to do the opposite of what the current council is doing is BS. I encourage everyone to go back and watch the video tonight to see if anyone actually had specific detailed solutions for the things they're trying to scare everybody about, because if you go back and watch it, they don't. I listen to the public, I read everybody's email, I'm always open to listening to new ideas, and I would be honored to have your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Jay?
So I've spent half of my 24-year professional career working for the city of Grants Pass, and I've spent half of my career working in the private sector. Both of those are extremely important for someone to serve as a volunteer, as an elected official for the city of Grants Pass. I have real experience, real solutions, a real track record of success. The Grants Pass Treatment Center up by Diamond Home Improvement is here because of a nonprofit I serve with. That same nonprofit is about to open up a housing for pregnant moms that are dealing with addiction challenges. I get things done and move on to the next, and I work primarily for the citizens of Grants Pass. I'm interested in getting things done and not playing the political game. Thanks, I would be honored and blessed to have your vote for Grants Pass City Council Ward 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Kathleen?
Yeah, I have a deep appreciation for conservative values. I believe that's why I came here, because Southern Oregon has been able to maintain its conservative values. Conservative values are, which this country was founded on, is a place of equal opportunity, not equal outcome. I think that's where we're really differentiating here tonight between the different and opposing views, is that some people think that equal outcomes are necessary, but that's never how it's been. It's always been everybody gets the same opportunity, and then we see what the outcomes will be. I believe the conservative value is a spiritual belief that meaning that there's transparency, integrity, and following the rule of law outlined in our U.S. Constitution. I will stand up to the 3% that are trying to change the values in our conservative area, and I want to maintain or get back and restore the quality of life that we all used to.
Thank you, Kathleen. Clinton?
Yes. Well, thank you all for coming. Hopefully you get a little bit better idea of who can do what and who's about what, which is all good. I come to you with experience and ideas. I want to promote economic growth and development. I want to take the homeless topic and do as much as we can so we can push the topic aside so we can actually get on with other business. And I've heard a couple people say that they've had some results. Currently, the last 3.5, 4 years, the community does not see results. Results are positive actions. I would argue that the current council's actions have actually promoted homeless people to come here. If you look out there, which we don't even have a canvas of these parks, is how many of these people are from here? How many of these people have come here from outside of our area to take advantage of our situation? I was privy to be in executive session with the actual legal counsel that defended us, and he said many times, don't do anything above the injunction. Don't give him a single thing.
Thank you,
Because you have
Clint.
perpetuity.
We'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up with Sarah.
Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I know that somebody mentioned that the current city council and I are not addressing the biggest issues of our community, but I absolutely think that we are. We've mentioned that tonight. We've got more than 500 homes, middle housing and affordable homes in the pipeline. We have renewed the public safety levy and balanced our budget without cutting police staff. We have cleared our parks of the homeless. We've been working on economic development and urban renewal. And I love this community, committed to this community that has elected me now twice in the past 4 years, because I did have to overcome that recall election last year, which I did with 68% of the vote. Well, my challenger here has lost 2 elections in the last 4 years. So I find it kind of offensive when people say that I don't represent the citizens of this community, because I absolutely do. And I'm looking forward to continuing to be an independent voice in this nonpartisan position. It's important that the mayor stand up for the citizens of the community as a whole, and that's absolutely what I have been doing and what I will continue to do for the next 4 years. I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. In our audience, if you'd like to show some appreciation for our candidates. Show some appreciation for our candidates. Up next are our treasurers, our candidates for treasurer. Treasurer candidates up next, and then we'll have the candidates for county commissioner. I'd like our audience to take a seat again, and we'll move on to the treasurer candidates, and then on to our county commissioner candidates.
So the light rounds suck. Well, yeah, they do, but I just use it here. Let's do this. The light round. Just do a right shot. 5 and if you get 4, yeah, just do it so there's 4 in there. But here, yeah. So you get 2 on one, 2 on the other, and then just reflect. Yeah, the lightning rounds are stupid. I was like, what? No, it's going to be. Okay, so we're first half of this is a shit show with audio. Yeah, we could do a two-track for this too, one time, or just try to get each one as a time. For these
Okay, if everybody can grab a seat, we'd like to get started with our treasurer candidates. Okay, everybody can grab a seat. We'd like to get started with our treasurer candidates. All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you, candidates, for being here tonight, taking time out to talk to our citizens. You'll have 2 minutes each to introduce yourselves. Please include your reason for running and the experience and special skills you have that would be of benefit to Josephine County. And okay, so we'll start. It's Eve, correct? Eve. All right, Eve, you're first.
Thank you for having us and thank you for being here. I am Eve R.C. I'm the current treasurer for Josephine County. I have worked in the treasurer and tax office for 29 years. I have been the treasurer for the last 12. I have lived in Grants Pass nearly all of my life, graduated from Grants Pass High School and raised my family here. I joined the tax collection and treasury office in 1995 as an entry-level position. I have actually held every position in that office and culminating as being endorsed by the prior treasurer for the job in 2012. Since then, I have administered the program. I feel that I have been entrusted with the funds that the citizens have allowed us to have. I do the best I can to earn interest on that money to make it grow. I keep it safe. I have an investment policy that guides me on what can be invested and where it can be invested. I'm also the Josephine County tax collector, so I administrate the tax collection process as well. We turn the roll, we collect the taxes, the tax collection then turns the money over to the treasurer, and the treasurer has to turn that over to the districts within 10 days of each distribution cycle.
Thank you, Eve. Mark?
Thank you. My name is Mark DeYoung, and I'm here seeking your support in my quest to become the next Josephine County Treasurer. My background, well, I'll start with, I have college degrees in political science and speech communication, and I have 15 years management experience from the national banking institutions with another 25 years of experience beyond that in financial services industry. With that deep background, I can assure you that I am well positioned to be able to manage large budgets and have done so, navigate complex financial regulations. I've acquired a deep understanding of policies and procedures, and I know how to use data to make sound, informed business decisions. I was honored to achieve the Oregon Leadership Excellence Award through peer nominations, which was a testament to my effectiveness in the industry. My campaign is running on a need for transparency in the Treasury Department, and we'll speak to that very much so as the coming time unfolds here. I grew up in South Chicago area. I attended college at Concordia College in Moorhead, Minnesota. I have 3 grown children that are doing well on their own, so it's given me an ability to be able to pursue some of the things in my life now that are a little more meaningful than just chasing a paycheck, if you will. And I look forward to serving the county with my background. Thank you.
All right, now we're getting into the questions. Thank you, Mark. We're going to stay with you and then move to Eve. Question 1. All right, 1 minute for each of these questions. What are the responsibilities of the county treasurer? Yes?
Well, there's really 3 main responsibilities of the county treasurer. The National Association of Counties listed on their website the 3 basic functions. Well, let's put the context. They're basically the senior banker, if you will, for the county. They're in charge of manage those monies to make them grow through prescribed statutes and accounting standards, as well as protecting the monies that are there for the citizens. And finally, the third leg, if you will, is being able to distribute the monies properly. And that last one is real important for all the county employees when every other Friday comes around and their paycheck shows up on time. Those are the hard ones, but beyond that, there's responsibilities to all of us citizens to be able to communicate what we're doing with your funds.
Thank you, Mark. Eve?
So the responsibilities of the treasurer, as Mark outlined, we do take in all the money. We manage the bank accounts. I make sure that when the tax money comes in, it is distributed to the district so that they have their money on a timely basis, and they can also manage their budgets. We also have a myriad of statutes that guide us what to do, make sure that the money is safe. The investment policy actually says safety, liquidity, and yield. We want to make sure the money is safe. We want to make sure that the money is available to pay our bills, and we want to make sure that it is getting a good interest return. I do the best we can. I also make sure that, like I said, with tax collection, the money is turned over.
Thank you, Eve. We're staying with you. Question number 2. What information should commissioners have access to? What are they not entitled to have?
So the statute, ORS 208, actually outlines what reports I have to make to the commissioners on a monthly basis. My investment policy also outlines what quarterly reports, semi-annual reports, meeting with the commissioners, giving them information of where all of the money is, what bank accounts the money is in, and also the investments and what the returns that the money is making. What are they not entitled to? I couldn't say that there's anything that they're not entitled to. All they have to do is come in and speak to me. There's a lot that I don't want to put out in the public, as to me, it's a banking information.
Thank you, Eve. Mark?
The question of what information should commissioners have access to is a really vital one. In the Treasurer's Department, obviously, at its core, there's management of significant monies for the county. And so it's incredibly important to be able to have transparency with the commissioners so that they can make informed decisions. Unfortunately, right now, we're in a situation where the commissioners are struggling to get the information they need. And what I'm about to speak to, you can all watch or look for because it's information that comes out of the county administration meetings on Thursday morning. On July 25th, the current treasurer unfortunately had difficulty giving reasons why she would not provide bank records to the commissioners or the finance director. In fact, it went so bad that one of the attorneys had to come in and actually read the code.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Our last question, we're going to stay with you, Mark, and then move to Eve. What information should citizens have and not have access to?
Well, obviously confidential personal information is not something citizens should have access to, but I think virtually there's not a whole lot that citizens should not have access to. After all, this is the citizens' monies. And when we start hiding or not producing bank statements and reconciliations, as one of the commissioners even brought up in the August 1st meeting, then we start wondering, what are we hiding here? And I have to say, part of the responsibility of having transparency is to make sure that we don't lose money through things like vendor fraud or expense reports that are inflated. When we have everybody up here talking about social issues that sometimes have to be solved through additional monies, it's imperative that we're not losing anything, and therefore oversight has to happen all the time.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Eve?
So the information that I provide for the public is also listed on my website. We do have quarterly reports, semi-annual reports based there. It also shows where the money is, where it's where it's being kept, what the interest rates are. The bank statements, I feel, are the treasurer's responsibility. I have the oversight for the bank statements. We do have an audit every single year by an outside auditor that checks bank statements and makes sure that everything is up and up and that there is nothing being hidden. The oversight of expenditures is actually in the finance department. The treasurer actually just makes sure that the money is available for those checks that are being presented. There is transparency in my office because I do report to the commissioners every month what is going on.
Thank you. And staying with you, Eve, closing comments. You've got a minute.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I would appreciate your vote for another term. I enjoy my work. Like I said, we do have transparency. Auditors are looking at our functions and our transactions every single year. There's never been a problem with it. And I do work with the commissioners when I need to and bring up information that they need to have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eve. Mark, closing comments.
Well, thank you. I'd like to say that, or share with you, the top three strengths that I would bring to the table. One is communication abilities. Two, I develop others. And the third one is collaboration and teamwork. And that third one is really, really needed right now at the county level. When you look and see at those administration meetings, especially the one on August 5th or August 1st, where the current treasurer says, these are my accounts and I don't have to show you the information. it's a giant red flag flying. On September 5th, in fact, the county attorney had to come in with a resolution called opening the books. Can you imagine that? Your own employer coming in, forcing you to do the job properly with transparency. So in conclusion, you can count on me working for you and for the commissioners and making sure that they have the information to make great decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Eve. We'll have a short break, and then we'll be moving on to the county commissioners.
I think that's the last piece, Commissioner.
Yeah, it's simple.
So we have Pat, is he number one?
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Oh, come on. Don't do that. Sorry, I didn't mean to influence anybody here. Yeah, well, it's been a long day, that's all. Well, it's okay, whatever this year.
You can get paid for it. Going
I can
All right, I want to first thank our candidates for coming down here and talking to the citizens of Josephine County. Thank you, audience. We want to have opening statements from our candidates. They're sitting in 1, 2, 3, 4 spots. We're going to start with Pat first. You'll each have 2 minutes to introduce yourself. Please include your reason for running and the experience and special skills you have that will be of benefit to Josephine County. Pat.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming here. I'd like to bring up 2 points. One is that I'm a little bit disappointed from all the people left at the city council. And we're okay guys up here. We should have more people. The second, I am 67 years old, and I want to remind everybody, 9 o'clock is the new midnight. So that's goes with that. I know a big portion of you folks here, and you've probably read something about me somewhere. I know that I've been hot topping the sneak preview, but that's okay. I've lived here my entire life. Like most of the other candidates here, I'm multi-generations, which kind of leads me to believe that it looks to me like when somebody comes in Josephine County, they don't want to leave, and their family stays. And I've lived here my entire life, and my family comes from the Williams area about 1900. Be that as it may, I suspect I'll spend the rest of my years here, and I'll probably be buried here. So why am I running? I'm running because about 2 years ago, I started noticing a big shift in the priorities of our county commissioners. You probably remember a couple years ago, we had this thing called COVID, and it was a pretty big deal. I watched our county commissioners belittle our health director, hospital managers, because they knew better. I watched our county commissioners, when we had people in refrigerated shipping containers, their most important thing they want to talk about is joining Greater Idaho. I think when you do that, there's probably a little bit wrong with your priorities. So I live here, my family lives here. I want to keep this the place that I grew up in. You can ask, what skills or what abilities do I bring? Well, I'm a product of the Southern Oregon education system.
Hey, Pat, I'm sorry. We had 2 minutes.
You probably know enough about me anyway, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Pat. Ron.
Well, I'm Ron Smith. Thank the Republican Party for putting this meeting on. It's been a good evening, a good chance to get to know each other. So I was born here in Josephine County. My family homesteaded here many, many years ago. I know Josephine County. I know it very well. I understand the issues. I understand the problems. I have solutions to solve some of them. I've been out in the community all my adult life, holding dozens and dozens of meetings about issues that concern your property rights, your liberties and your freedoms. Mostly educating people and giving them understanding of the situation confronting them. So I am running because I have children in this county. I have grandchildren in this county. I'm running for their future. And growing up around here was a great place to grow up. I'm really concerned about what the kids are going to face with in this county today. You know, we have some serious problems. Understanding jurisdiction, when you come to homelessness, that's not a commissioner's situation. That's a city situation. So understand what a commissioner can do. I've been friends with a commissioner that served 22 years on this board. And I picked his brain to understand exactly what a commissioner could do and what he can't do. So I'm ready to serve as soon as you put me into the job. And I'll work for you. My whole goal is to work for the people of Josephine County, to serve you, to be your commissioner, to listen to you, to have answers for you, and never neglect that I'm going to serve the people of Josephine County. So I've been involved here many, many years, way back starting in '96. I started getting involved in politics. And so I've followed this dream of doing something positive for the future of Josephine County for our children. And I think now's the time to step up and fight for our liberties and freedom, especially for the future generations.
Thank you, Ron. Colleen.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out tonight. Thank you, Republicans, for putting this together. Holly, Matt, Candace, and the video team. Appreciate you all being here. I am Colleen Martin. I've lived in Josephine County since I was 3 years old. I was born in Gold Beach. My dad is in the logging business, and he moved. That's why he brought us to Grants Pass. He actually died 17 years ago in a logging accident. So I'm very familiar with the forest. I'm familiar with our heritage of how this community has been in the forestry business, and we've evolved into whatever it is that we are evolving into currently now. My background is in small business. My husband and I had the photo den. It was a photography business, a home electronics business. We had that for 27 years. From there, I went to work for this Grants Pass Chamber of Commerce. I was the CEO there, advocating for business. And then for the last 6, almost 7 years, I worked for the Oregon State Chamber of Commerce, where I'm very familiar with boards of directors. I ran a board of directors from the entire state for the state, through the state chamber of chambers of commerce, and of course selling real estate. That's my current positions. My husband and I have 4 children. We raised our kids here. I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother, I'm a sister. I have a mother still in the community. And those things are important to me, and those things they're not why I'm running, but I'm running to help support them. The reason I'm actually running is because as a business owner for 27 years, we saw the state and we watched the state regulate business constantly. There was one regulation after another, and the state of Oregon is still coming after our businesses with regulations, and businesses don't want that. We'll talk more later.
Thank you, Colleen. Chris.
Good evening, everybody. I thank you, Republican Party, for being here, and everybody in the audience has stuck around, so thank you very much. My name is Chris Barnett. I'm very excited to be here tonight to be running for County Commissioner. I have a broad background of a whole bunch of different experiences in life, which I feel can really help this county. I graduated from Hidden Valley High School here. I joined the Air Force right here in downtown Grants Pass. I'm a still serving serviceman of 33 years. I've been in the Air Force active duty, I've been in the Guard, I've been in the Reserve, and now Command Chief for the Civil Air Patrol Air Force Auxiliary, which I have 6 states. That's a big responsibility. We have a budget of $76 million. And I do that part-time, and I do it from here. I'm also a business owner as well. I have Realty Executive Southern Oregon. My wife and I run that. She's a principal broker. I'm a principal broker as well. And we're right here on 7th Street in Grants Pass. I'm also a disc jockey at KLBR Radio in KJO. Been there 30 years. And I do a part-time show now because I love giving back to my community. It's not for the money. It's just to give back to the community. And I absolutely love community events. Love that. People that know me know I'm out in the community a lot. What I bring to the table is life experiences. I bring back worldwide experiences that I've been in, especially in the military. I thank them so much for all the opportunities of service. And I want to give that service back to my community. I'm very responsible. I'm integrity-minded. I go above and beyond. When people find me going, slow down. I never slow down. And I'm running for County Commissioner because I want to give the taxpayers the best representation possible, because I think that that's what they want. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. We will now move on to a lightning round. Please respond to every question with a 1 or 2 word answer. Don't worry, you'll be able to elaborate on questions later in the form. You will have plenty of time to cover stuff that you may not be able to cover in just a few words. Ron, you're going to be first up here. Should the government be responsible for providing health care to all citizens?
No, they should not. We can't afford it in the first place. We're all
Colleen?
organization.
No.
Chris?
No.
And Pat?
No.
Do you believe the government has the authority to mandate the wearing of masks? Colleen?
No.
Chris?
No. Definitely no.
Pat?
No.
No. Ron?
No, not at all.
Thank you. Do you believe in mandated vaccines? I'm starting with Chris.
No.
No.
No?
No.
Ron?
Definitely no.
No, I don't believe in them, but I respect people that feel like they have to have them.
All right, thank you. Do you believe decriminalizing marijuana and drug use has been a benefit to Josephine County? Pat?
No.
Ron?
Horrible mistake.
Colleen?
The worst experiment Oregon has done.
Chris?
Definitely, it's been bad. We all know that.
Okay. Do you believe the Second Amendment needs to be amended to suit a modern world? Ron?
The Second Amendment needs to be defended, not amended.
Colleen?
No.
Chris?
No.
And Pat?
No.
Is vote by mail in Oregon a secure voting system? Colleen?
Boy, that's a tough question.
You can talk about it later when we get to another thing.
I'm gonna say I trust Josephine County to do it right.
Okay. Chris?
I believe in person is the best.
Okay. Pat?
In person's the best.
And Ron?
Every other nation in the world got rid of it because of fraud.
Okay, I'll take that as a yes. Should proof of identification be required to vote in Josephine County? Chris?
100%.
Pat?
Yeah.
Ron?
Yes.
Yes.
Final question in the lightning round. Do you believe public education is on the right track? Pat?
Yeah.
Ron?
Off the rails.
Colleen?
It needs a lot of work.
And Chris?
It could be improved.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we'll be getting into the meat and potatoes. We're going to start off with Ron first. Each of these answers, of the first 3 questions, should be 1 minute, and then you'll have a couple of 2-minute answers. What was that? Okay. Recently, Josephine County has experienced shortfalls in revenue. This most likely will continue into the future. Measure 5 and Measure 50, which was passed by Oregon voters, limits the ability to raise property taxes. Given the county's shortfalls, would you be in favor of repealing Measure 5 and Measure 50 and increasing property taxes to make up for the shortfalls? We're coming to you first, Ron.
No, I would not be. Josephine County does not have the tax base necessary and can't afford it. The difference between Josephine County and Jackson County is like night and day. They've got a large tax base, we do not. We need to defend the rights for people to have their freedom and their finances. We've allowed this country to go into debt $34–35 trillion. Our county is suffering right now under inflation. The county sheriff told me his budget had increased by $50,000. Inflation is going to be a problem. And so you can't tax people under these circumstances, under these economic conditions. That would be a big mistake. So no, I'm not in favor of repealing those. I think we need to, just like everybody in their household, they're going to have to tighten their belts. And we're all suffering through this inflationary period, through this downturn.
Thank you, Ron. Colleen?
So no, I don't support repealing those measures. I think that we have to work within the budgets that we're given. I've studied the budgets for the last few years. Our budget that we had last year was substantially more. The commissioners are really working hard this year to reduce that budget and bring it down by quite a bit of money. And I think working within the money that we're given is what we have to do. We're going to have to be creative, and I have some ideas towards economic development on how we can work on creating more dollars for our community. But working within what we're given, it's just like we have to do with our personal budget. You got to work within your means, and that's how we should be treating the county.
Thank you, Colleen. Chris?
No on repealing Measure 5. One thing in the Department of Defense that I've been involved with for many years is big budgets, and government just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when we had the Obama years, I have to say we trimmed down quite a bit. It meant we couldn't have our flyovers over Grants Pass for a couple of years there. Taxpayers wanted it, but we didn't have the money to fly. So what we have to do is be better stewards of our money. And once you get, you budget for it. Being a business owner, I know exactly what it feels like to struggle, get by to pay the bills. So you have to be good stewards, and I think the elected officials that you vote in have to be better stewards of the money. When we see shortfalls, I always think somebody's not managing the money. Maybe you have to cut programs. Maybe you have to cut staff. Nobody wants to do that, but being a business owner, we all know you have to make some tough decisions.
Thank you, Chris. Pat?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to changing measure 5 or measure 50, although I think that we do have a budgetary problem here. I think that we have to look for alternate ways to fund things. There's been several proposed. I've heard of a proposed fuel tax. Years ago, there was discussion about franchise fees for utilities in the county that made sense. I don't know if you guys all realize it, but everybody that lives in Josephine County pays the same per kilowatt hour that somebody in Grants Pass does, but the city of Grants Pass is allowed to charge franchise fees for PP&L, and that's over $1 million a year. Those kind of things, if you evaluate them, think outside the box a little bit, would probably bring money in more equity to the system.
Thank you, Pat. Moving on to question number 2. The United States Supreme Court has remanded the abortion issue back to the states. Josephine County has the Pregnancy Center, which actively helps women who become pregnant. Would you be opposed to county support for the Pregnancy Center? And we're starting with Colleen first.
I would be opposed to that. The Pregnancy Center is doing well as it is. I just attended the most amazing benefit that they just held last week, and I think they're going to do just fine, just as well as many of our other nonprofits.
Thank you. Chris?
I don't think we need to create more tax for things. I really feel that the Pregnancy Care Center has done an outstanding job with donations from me and everybody else. I was at their gala last Saturday. It was amazing. And people were generous. When they have a cause they believe in, they give. I was endorsed by the Right to Life, and I believe in what the Pregnancy Care Center is doing. They have my whole support. I don't think the taxpayers should fund that. I think we have enough goodwill in our community for us to step up as individuals to donate, and we will continue to donate.
Thank you, Chris. Pat?
My position on this, my wife was a midwife for a number of years and delivered a lot of babies. Birthing can be wonderful things. But I do think we have to keep in mind what our priorities are for Josephine County. In mine, start with is law enforcement. That means the sheriffs, the jails, the DAs. If there's excess money available, once we pass that public health, I'd be interested in chatting about it.
Thank you, Pat. Ron?
Well, I think it would be a great idea. I'm endorsed by Organ Right to Life, and I believe in the sanctity of life and protection of the unborn. Can we afford it? I don't know. I would have to look at this issue. Like I said, I'm not for more taxes, but I really 100% support the Pregnancy Care Center. I know the director over there. They're doing a lot of great work. It's just a shame we couldn't direct some of that money that's funding abortion to fund places like the Pregnancy Care Center. I don't know how much money the state's dumping into pro-abortion. Take a fraction of that money and put it over to the Pregnancy Care Center. It'll do more good than 100,000 abortions. We've got to protect the unborn. This is all about the future of America. This is not the future of our children. You know, I would never dream of killing babies. How could somebody condone that? I don't understand it.
Thank you, Ron. Moving on to question number 3. This is also 1 minute. Currently, Measure 114 changes firearm ownership and purchase requirements. It's pending in the Oregon Court of Appeals. Many people in Oregon, especially rural Oregon, believe this is an infringement on their Second Amendment rights. As a county commissioner, would you support Measure 114? We're starting with you, Chris.
So I'm a big pro-advocate of the Second Amendment. Being a military and law enforcement person, I carry a gun all the time. I think the right to bear arms, it's in our Constitution. And if you properly know how to handle that weapon, you should be able to carry it. There is a process for that. You have to qualify. You have to make sure you know how to use it when you need to use it. And that's something that some people can't do. That's okay, don't carry a weapon. But taking guns away from people and definitely restricting that, no way, Jose. I know the history of America and how we got here, and because we have the right to bear arms is why we're free today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Pat?
Well, there's a couple issues on that, 114, not the least of which is the administrative functions of what the sheriff has to do, because they have the manpower to do it. I tend to be opposed to it. I'm a little bit careful about whatever we offer to change the Second Amendment. I'm a firearms owner myself. I belong to Sportsman Park, or all Sportsman Park, pardon me. I think we have to be careful about where we tread. I'm not necessarily opposed to red flag laws where you have somebody that is known to have mental deficiencies, restrict their handgun use. But aside from that, I think 114 probably was an overreach.
Thank you, Pat. Ron?
I fully believe in the Second Amendment right. It's our God-given right for self-defense. I'm opposed to anything that infringes upon that ability for me to protect my family and my children from harm. This is our God-given right. No legislature has a right to take that away from us. The Second Amendment must be defended. I would not support that as a commissioner. I think it's going in the wrong direction. I think our Constitution is under attack every day. I think we, as a people, and I mean all of us in this room, need to stand up and defend that Constitution because it's under assault today.
Thank you, Ron. Colleen?
No, I don't believe that we need to change the Second Amendment. I don't support the changes for 114. I believe that we need to focus more on behavioral health and mental disease and drugs and the things that are causing the people, that we've got to get in the people's hands that are causing the violence. And every time that happens, that triggers a situation. It triggers a new reason for them to come after the Second Amendment. And so we need to do better at working on those issues.
All right, thank you. Moving on to question number 4, you'll have 2 minutes to answer this. And we're going to be starting with you. Was that Colleen? I'm sorry.
I think it needs Matt.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Homelessness is an increasing problem in Oregon. As commissioner, what would you do to solve the homeless problem in Josephine County?
Primarily, homelessness occurs in the city, but there's a whole lot of homeless out in the county as well. First thing, you have to have a very good dialogue with your city representatives. If we can help by funding from grants, I'd be in favor of that. I've heard that today that 75% of homeless people have a drug issue. Should there be an issue with that? Yes, there should be. It seems inappropriate for us to put all the burden on supporting the homeless just on the city, because, to be honest, they come from all over. There's probably just as many people in the house, homeless people on the outskirts of K Junction, I know that have some developments out there, than there are in the city of Grants Pass or the city of K Junction. So I would be willing to work with the cities, both city of K Junction and city of Grants Pass, to find a policy that works, and that may make a homeless shelter. But I heard one of the discussions today go on about should we have the city by itself pay for the shelter. I actually think it's more of a state responsibility, because let's face it, if you have a great system in one area, people move toward it. I think it should be a unified set of protocols, procedures, and funding that comes from the state. Because to be honest, DHS is a state function. It should incorporate the homelessness. So I'd be in favor of working with the city to help support the homeless issue that we have in Josephine County.
Thank you, Pat. Ron?
I believe the best way to handle a homeless situation is a three-pronged approach. Strong law enforcement, drug and alcohol treatment, and affordable housing. As a commissioner, you got to understand jurisdiction. Across the country, the homelessness is a city problem. It's in the major cities. Most of those cities are run by Democrats that are having these problems. Because you're never going to solve homeless until you get undo the progressive liberal policies that caused it. Soft on crime, soft on drug, catch and release, open borders. Come on, you've got to get rid of those policies that caused that problem. You're never going to solve the homeless problem. Never going to solve the homeless problem until you undo the policies that created it. As a commissioner, I would look at undoing those policies under my power and jurisdiction as a commissioner. Now, I'm kind of hamstrung by the state as a commissioner because they're the ones that are pushing all of these progressive liberal policies. So that's a real problem. So I think we maybe need to look at going back to that charter change and changing the word agent of the state first and put the body politic of the people first instead of being an agent of the state. So we have some power to push back on these liberal policies that are causing this homeless problem. Open borders, I mean, how much fentanyl and heroin and drugs are going, we're becoming an exporter of meth here in this county because there's so much manufacturing going on. You're never going to solve the homeless problem until you undo the liberal progressive policies that caused it. Think about it. Think about it. Why do we have so many homeless people? Drugs, soft on crime, catch and release. These are the things that are causing the problem. Open borders. Like I said, you're not going to solve the problem until you have to do liberal progressive policies to cause it.
Thank you, Ron. Colleen.
So the homeless problem started back in 1963, I think, when John F. Kennedy decided to defund well, he didn't decide to defund, but wanted to do away with the institutions. Reagan then later defunded it. So we've been dealing with this. This is a problem that's been growing for 61 years. Do you think we're going to solve it next week or next year? We are not. It's going to take a lot of work, and it's going to take a lot of work at the federal level, at the state level, before we can get that work done in Josephine County and the city of Grants Pass. We have to work hard again with our congresspeople to get them to realize what needs to happen. My question to the people in this room, how many of you have been to Boundary Village in Grants Pass or Hope Village in Medford? How many in this room have been there, toured it? Do you think that it is a stepping stone for people? Do you think it's a Band-Aid? Do you think it's an improvement to what how homeless situation is? I think it is. You're taking those people that want to get help and you're putting them into a facility that will give them a hand up, not a hand out. They're going to get them the services they need. They're going to teach them how to do applications, to get work, to get jobs. They have to pay fees to live there. We need 10 more Foundry Villages where we can get these people that want the help. You're going to have the people in these shelters that are not going to want to get help. They don't want to be helped. And the question is, how do we help them? How do we reach them? Because I don't have that answer, and I don't think anybody in this room does.
Thank you, Colleen. Chris.
So I believe in a hand up, not a handout. Nothing has ever been given to me. My dad said to get out there, work, pay your own way, stay away from drugs. And I've done that. The military taught me that. My parents taught me that. And I think one thing, I've been out in the field, some of you guys have followed me, I've been out in the field because I'm that type of person who find out what the problem is and then we find out a solution. And 85% of these homeless people, it's drug addiction, substance addiction. 15% were actually homeless. They just loved being a free spirit. And I like those people, they're great. I give them food and they actually take it and they thank me. That's what I used to do. There wasn't very many homeless people in this town up until the last 8 years. I started seeing it more and more and more. Never in my 44 years have I seen it that bad. And I asked him, how do I help you? How do I get you off of drugs? Well, I don't want to go to the Gospel Rescue Mission because I have to take a mandatory drug test, The Gospel Rescue Mission is one of the true sources as a nonprofit that gets their money from good citizens that rehabilitates those people from start to finish. They will help you, but you also have to be an adult and say, you know what, which road do you want to take? I would take that road because it's going to get me onto recovery. We need tougher laws in our justice system to mandate these people to get the treatment they need. There's money for it, but we're pretty soft. Let them in, let them out, and they want help. So my solution is really work with our agencies to try to get these people the help they need so they can get back on their feet. Because most of them were never in the place they were until they met drugs. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Moving on to question 5, you'll have 2 minutes to respond. The federal government land ownership makes up approximately 70% of Josephine County. Historically, revenues from those lands have contributed greatly to the general fund of Josephine County. However, recently, those funds have diminished. What would you do as county commissioner to restore these revenue streams? And we're going to Ron first on this.
Well, traditionally and historically, this county was fully funded, the sheriff was fully funded for 90 years because of timber receipts. Here we are today, trying to figure out what's going to replace those timber receipts. You ever thought about a tree, how when it leaves the forest? How many jobs does one tree create? Hundreds and hundreds of jobs before it ends in a house. So what is it we can do to replace it? I think we're going to have to look at different avenues. We have some state senators that are against any producing any natural resources. So we're going to have to roll out the red carpet for businesses. We're going to have to think about filling up that industrial park. You know, the Illinois Valley has an economic empowerment zone at that airport, which actually is bigger than the industrial park here in Maryland. It could be developed. It would be a great boom for the Illinois Valley, and I think we should support those kinds of things. There's a lot of revenue could come from having some bigger corporations and manufacturing coming here. World Truck Bodies is an example of what happened. He started out with a little building out there on Rough and Ready property, and he's moved into Kirby and created a heck of a business that supports a lot of people. So I think we need to look at how we're going to bring manufacturing jobs, small, light manufacturing jobs in the county. Can we replace timber with that? That's a good question. Timber was really, really an important issue for this county. It's just like if you're a New England fishing village, you lost the right to fish. Pretty soon you die. It's just like the story in Appalachia and the coal mining towns. When they lost their coal mines and the coal mines got shut down, the people went to drugs, alcohol, their economies excuse me. It's just like Josephine County. It's what's happening to us today.
Thank you, Ron. Colleen.
So I will never give up on the ONC funds because I feel like that is one of our rights. They promised that to us years ago, and I think they owe it to us. Okay, that said, how are we going to do that? We just have to keep pushing on them. We have to keep pushing on them. I know, I think it dwindled to about $2 million this year that we got in the budget. We had at the budget committee when they were doing the budget this year, they had a representative, Doug, come and speak about ONC funds. It sounds pretty hopeless. It really does. But I'm never going to stop fighting for that because I feel like it's a debt our government made to us as a community, taking 70% of our land, and we deserve to have that, or we deserve the land, one or the other. That said, in the interim, we have to face the realities and how we're going to face budgets, and economic development has to be a complete driver to that. We can talk about bringing businesses all day long, but bigger than that, people, we need to keep the businesses that we have. We need retention of the businesses that are out there now. We cannot afford to lose Fire Mountain Jams. We cannot afford to lose Road Truck Body. We cannot afford to lose these large paying businesses that employ a lot of our citizens, because that's where your tax dollars are coming. Those are the people that are buying the houses and supporting your tax base. So we can't afford to lose business. We need to work on those. Economic development, yes, the airport is an incredible economic development driver. Bigger than that is the plan for the fairgrounds. Travis Boersma gave this county the biggest gift they've seen in decades by the money that he's giving to the fairgrounds, or the turning over Flying Lark. How we spend that money, the fairgrounds has an amazing master plan. If you haven't looked at that, I encourage you to take a look at it. But that's going to be an incredible driver for economic development.
Thank you, Colleen. Chris.
The ONC funds, we know they're gone. They've been gone. My dad was a logger here. I grew up and he got laid off because of spotted owl. We had to survive. It was tough. And I'm like, why? They won't let you log? Why, Dad? Why? Well, environmental action said you can't go log and this and that. And I grew up in that in the 80s, and I saw that. And my dad was unemployed, and he was trying to find more work, and it's tough. So we've got to get away. I wish we could log more here. I'm open to logging and doing selective cutting and stuff like that. I think we have a natural resource that renews. It's proven. So I think that we can get back to doing some of those things we used to do, but we got to work with our state representatives and our officials that have so many tight restrictions on what we can and cannot do. Tourism is huge here. Can we come up with some ideas of tourism? I've got some ideas. I would like to see our county get other revenues from other sources than just taxation. Our businesses need to thrive here. I love it when new businesses come here. I hate it when businesses leave here. Like Dutch Bros left, It was a travesty to see that, because I saw Travis Borsman from the beginning on up, and I kind of helped him with advertising in the very beginning, and I saw him just grow. And seeing that company go to other states, kind of like Elon Musk with Tesla, taking it from one area and moving it somewhere else, you lose so much revenue. I think housing is another big thing. We need to expand that, because every person we get into a house is a taxpayer. So let's open up and lose some restrictions in the county as well, provide more housing and more taxation we can get from that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Moving on to question 6. This is a 1 minute. Oh, I'm sorry, Pat.
Yeah, that's okay.
I've done that twice tonight.
It's easy to forget about me.
It's that rotation driver number 1. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Well, the loss of ONC money was a big deal. I mean, it used to be our budget. There was years never collected the 57 cents a thousand. Those years are gone. Even if we had access to the timber, the mills aren't here anymore. And the amount of man hours it takes to harvest a tree is a fraction of what it used to be. So you can't count on it like you used to. So we have to look at other forms of revenue, and we have to roll out the Welcome Act to new businesses. I'd rejoin SoReady, try and get more traded sector jobs here. You gotta remember, when I was a kid, we had Lit Industries here, a major defense contractor. We had Champion Products, a major clothing manufacturer. That's in addition to ONC money. Why'd they leave? That would be a good question. Was the workforce, usually industry needs 3 things. You need the workforce, you need the infrastructure, you need housing. We all know we have a housing shortage. There's stuff we can do on the infrastructure side. And I work with RCC, I'm a board member there. We work really hard to talk to manufacturers and talk to employers. What do you need? And those are the things you have to look at. What's our impediments to business coming here? Now, when we left SoReady, we kind of pulled in the Welcome Act. We said, we're not really interested in you anymore. And I don't think we spent our economic development money very well either in the last 4 or 5 years. Most of it's stayed in the courthouse. So I think there's things we can do to actually promote our own businesses, to get new ones in there. Colleen hit it right. You have to defend and promote and protect your current businesses that you have here, because they're our friends and neighbors. But you can't let opportunities go by about bringing new people. So that would be my effort.
Thank you, Pat. All right, now moving on to question number 6. These are 1 minute responses. And we're starting with Colleen. The state of Oregon is evaluating wildland fire hazards throughout the state. A map has been created to designate private lands as high, moderate, or low risk. This may cause landowners to experience increases in homeowners' insurance premiums, as well as result in development restrictions. Do you support the new fire map created by the state designating private property as high, medium, or low risk?
It's not a question of may our insurances go up. Our insurances have already gone up to many of the people in this community. We own a business in a commercial complex downtown Grants Pass. They wouldn't insure us anymore. And then when I finally did find one, it was 4 times the amount we were paying before. So it's happened. It's already happened. No, I do not support that wildfire map. And no, I don't trust the state of Oregon for being in charge of a wildfire map. I think that says it in a nutshell.
All right, Chris, thank you.
I've been to the meetings that this wildland fire map that started a firestorm, people coming to these meetings and they were voicing like, this is unfair. Who came up with this map? What system, right? Oregon State University had these fancy computers and they had a model and came out. I totally disagree with how they came out with that model. They put me in a medium zone. I live in Redwood Avenue. I have no tall trees around me. Everything's short. It's green. And I'm medium. So, and then I'm in the real estate business, so I had a customer trying to sell his home, and guess what? The next buyer got rejected. We had to shop around and had to put a bond of money up just to get insurance for the buyer. It was horrible. And it hurt our sale. It delayed our sale. And I'm just thinking that, we definitely, that wildland map definitely is bad. It needs to be, it's no good.
Thank you, Chris. Pat?
I have a real problem with unknown bureaucrats somewhere up in Salem deciding if my property is safe or not. We've lived in the fire zone forever. We built a masonry house, metal roof, there's no scrubs around our house, and yet it's a higher fire zone. I think before somebody puts out a map that says your property is a higher fire risk, they need to set boots on your property.
Yeah.
And not just with them, but also with the State Water Resources Board. I live above an irrigation ditch, and they said we're potential wetlands. You go figure that out. So until the person sets their boots on your own property, I don't think it has any validity to me.
Thank you, Pat. Ron?
This is an issue I'm intimately involved in. I held meetings at the Josephine County Fairgrounds about Senate Bill 762. That's what we're talking about, the wildfire hazard map. I had 500 people, 450 people. We went to Medford. We held meetings in the library, 150, 250 at Salmon Valley. We tried to wake up the public to this dreadful, dreadful legislation that will do absolutely nothing to stop wildfires. What this ends up being is an attack on your private property rights. The state telling you what you can and cannot do on your property. This is a travesty. It needs to be repealed. It's poorly legislation, poorly thought out, and it's just a push. This whole thing started with a little 110-page report to try to address wildfires started by power lines. Okay, that thing was gutted and stuffed in the legislature to become Senate Bill 762. This grows government by state government by at least 20 to 25%. We can't afford it.
Thank you, Ron. Moving on to our last question before our closing comments. Josephine County is designated as a sanctuary county by a governor's decree. Should Josephine County be a sanctuary county for illegal aliens? And we're going to be starting with Chris.
Absolutely no. We have a border crisis right now. I've been down to the border many times. National Guard called us up. We went down to the border. There's a problem. When we have these sanctuary cities like that, you're protected. It creates crime. It creates problems that the cities have to pay for. You're seeing it all around. It's overwhelming that people want the border shut down. The border needs to be closed, and you can come in here. I have no problem with anybody coming here to be a United States American citizen, but come legally. I go to all across the country and I find out that the people that had to earn their way here are very upset that the other people now just get to walk right in. So no, I'm definitely against that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Pat?
No, I don't think so. And the biggest reason why is that I think the immigration policy is flawed for a reason. I think both parties use it as an angle to disturb debates. I think what we really need is a real immigration policy. Potentially the path to citizenship for those people that follow the rules like Chris is talking about. And I actually think this is a way that people are avoiding doing the right thing. So I'm opposed to it. I think if there's a law, it's a law, and there shouldn't be a sanctuary city. So I'd be opposed.
Thank you, Pat. Ron?
It flies in the face of federal immigration policy. It needs to be done away with. It's done nothing to help the American people. We need to take care of America first, not foreigners first. I mean, look at the reaction to the tornadoes and the hurricanes in the eastern part of this country. Where's FEMA? They spend all their money helping illegal aliens live a luxury life compared to Americans. Why don't we have an American First policy? I'm against this sanctuary idea. We need to close our borders. We're more worried about the borders in Israel and Ukraine than we are our own border. What's wrong with that policy? Let's have an American First policy. Take care of your own people first. There's a pathway for these guys to come into the country. Legal citizenship's been around for a long time. What we're talking about is sheltering people like robbers and thieves who snuck into your house, and we're going to hide them in the bedroom and protect them. That's crazy.
Thank you, Ron. Colleen.
We're already a sanctuary city for the homeless. We can't afford to be a sanctuary city for the immigrants. So, no, I don't support Oregon being a sanctuary, or I know Oregon is a sanctuary city. I don't support Josephine County. How could we even manage it? We can't manage what we have. I can't even imagine. We're very fortunate, honestly, that we are not Portland, that is bringing in a lot of the immigrants and other larger cities that are bringing them in. We're lucky we haven't seen a lot of that. The ones that we are bringing in are wanting to work, and they want to work, and they're finding jobs. And I know companies that bring, they don't bring them in, but they do work for them. So, yeah.
All right, thank you, Colleen. We'd like to hear your 1-minute closing statements. We're going to start with Pat.
Well, for me, this campaign's been about a year long. I started just about Halloween last year. There's things that you really like about campaigning, things you don't. Things I really like about it is going out and meeting people. There's been some wonderful people I've met. You know, sometimes you get somebody that writes something in the paper you don't like, but that's just the way it works. I mean, if you're a candidate, you have to do that. What I'd like to remind everybody is that on November 6th, the morning of, the election's over. We're still neighbors. I like to tell people the meal will still be delivered and the garbage will still be picked up. And we should remember that as passionate as we get during the campaign, remember that you still have to have that neighbor sitting next to you. And politics is one thing, but community is more important. So please remember that. I'd like to end with one statement, and JFK said this, so bear with me. He said, we all occupy this one small world. We all breathe the same air. We all wish the best for our children. We're all mortal, and we should remember that. So November 6th, look across the parking lot to your neighbor that may have a different political position you are, and say hello. He's still your neighbor.
Thank you, Pat. Ron.
Well, in this closing statement, I'd like to let everybody know that there's some big differences between me and my opponent. For one thing, I'm endorsed by the Josephine County Republican Party. He's endorsed by the Josephine County Democratic Party. I'm endorsed by Oregon Right to Life. He is not. He was 100% for the county charter initiative that went down by 63%. I was totally opposed to it. So there are some big differences between me and my opponent. That's what you'll have to decide during this election. Do you want somebody who's endorsed by the Republicans or somebody who's endorsed by the Democrats? That tells you a lot about a person right there. So I've been involved in this county all my life. I'm running to protect the future generations of Josephine County. Those children need to have a future as good as ours. Stand up, America. Protect the kids.
Thank you, Ron. Colleen.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you for the group that put this together and all of you people that gave up your time this evening. It's jamming time for me, I'm telling you, it's 8:36. I'm running for a nonpartisan position. Yes, I was endorsed by the Democrat Party. Was I vetted by the Democrat Party? Was I interviewed by the Democrat Party? No. Was I vetted by the Republican Party? Was I interviewed by the Republican Party? No. So, don't use that one against us, because it just doesn't fly with me. Sorry, guys. I'm running for county commissioner to serve every citizen in this community, not to serve a party. And I'm here to be, I'm a pragmatic problem solver. I am here for good governance. Thanks. Thanks again for everybody.
Thank you. And Chris.
Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. This is an important election coming up. And I'm old-fashioned, I guess, because my values are God, family, country, freedom, and service. You know, people ask me, why do I have that salute guy on my side? That's because I serve my country, and I want to serve you, the citizens of Josephine County. I'll make a sacrifice. I'll put other things on hold to do this job. And I'm a juggler. I can do many different things, and I've been really good at it. And I've been proven to do that. And I can do that for the county, because you have to be the best liaison you can, juggling so many different things, from budget, managing your departments, going out in the field, attending things. I'm a community person, and I definitely want to show you that I want to do good things for Josephine County. And don't forget to vote on November 5th. Go to votechrisbarnett.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. You want to show your appreciation for our candidates?
What a long night. I want to thank everybody for their excellent decorum. It's been a great opportunity to get to know these candidates. And now that you do, extend your hand out, spend more time with them. We're all going to be voting on November 5th. We hope you've learned something about each one of the candidates and have answered some of the questions that you might have. Thank you so much for coming. See your mom, almost like